Coming to the stage, Francisco, yeah, let's go. Yo, listen, we in the Boogie Down Bronx, y'all, and this is episode 4. Today we got every single one of the talent from the whole season. I brought them here today at the Bronx Brewery so we could sip some brews and eat some good food. So what we're gonna do today is recreate the dishes that we ate in all of our previous restaurants and put them all together, feed it to the talent, and let them know what Grubstalgia is all about, baby. Let's go.
Hi guys, my name is Empanalogy. I am a fashion designer and I also throw networking events. And I am here today to taste some pretty cool food. Probably gonna taste like the earth because that's all that Frank eats. But hey, that's what we're doing. I'm excited, we're gonna connect, we're gonna interact, have a good time.
Yo, what's going on? My name is Club Bum, also known as Justin, but majority of people call me Club Bum. And I'm an artist / painter, / designer, sneaker designer, whatever you wanna, I got you, baby. And I'm here for GRUB-STAL-GIA to try some amazing food by Frank. And I'm here to get my grub on and do some heavy critiquing, but majority just to eat, so I'm here for all the love.
Hey guys, I'm Mighty. I'm a candle maker and event curator, and today we're at the Bronx Brewery shooting GRUB-STAL-GIA. We're gonna eat some good food.
Okay.
Yo, what up, man? This is Perico Limited. My name is Joseph.
My name is Francis. This is Jose. He's not here right now, but we're here for GRUB-STAL-GIA.
How many of you, it's your first time at the Bronx Brewery? Welcome to the most thorough borough, the Boogie Down Bronx. We've been brewing in the South Bronx since 2011, but there's a journey of how we got here, right? We didn't just open up our doors and had all these beautiful tanks and cans and beer and ready to go, right? So the way most breweries start out is gypsy brewing. And so we have two owners, Damien and Chris. And when they were conceptualizing what they wanted to do with beer and their brand, they looked at the Bronx and they were really able to realize and see that the Bronx was full of a ton of people that were very diverse, gritty. There was a hustle and a grind that they really liked. And they wanted to bring brewing back to the Bronx. The way we started off brewing was gypsy brewing, right? So many breweries start off this way. You have an idea, you have a recipe, you decide to make it, and then you got to figure out how to sell it. So the way we went about doing it is Damien and Chris ended up buying a used Red Bull truck. They made our first beer, which was called American Pale Ale. And at that time, our ethos was do one thing, do it right. And that has since evolved over time. From there, they kept going around the city trying to sell their beer. And fortunately hit a point in their growth where they could no longer sustain loading up a Red Bull truck with beer, taking it out into the market and trying to sell it. So we got this space in 2014. Prior to that, this was a textile factory. So for like the designers in the room, it was a factory where they would do textiles and whatnot. And before I get the question, I'm going to address it. So people often ask me, what is Frida doing at the top of our brew house? So I get it every tour. And so we found that in here when we came and took over the building. And it was in a dusty corner. And the joke that we have here is that Frida's always looking over all of our beers. And not a bad person to have looking over your beers, but more importantly, the joke is that that's probably a painting that could be sold at Sotheby's for millions of dollars. Who knows? So Frida is always with us. We're happy to have her, and she's a part of every brew that we do here in the Bronx. So that's a little bit about kind of the inception, getting started. Probably should have started with this. So I'm the GM for the venue. And when I got here, I started off in a community and events role. And it was a role that was created for me. That role never existed. And when I came here is when I started building a lot of the programming. They were doing events here prior to my arrival in 2017, but the events were like maybe 2 a year, maybe some music in the back. And being from the Bronx and coming here, I had this, idea of how I saw this space, and I knew the uniqueness that it played in our borough for several reasons, right? First brewery back in the Bronx, something that we could call our own, and then obviously that backyard space is special. People say, how did he do it or whatnot? The answer's simple, man. I use what I grew up with my experiences, and I brought that here, right? And I think it's very important for a company to be authentic and genuine to the community that it serves and the things that we do. And we do it all, right? And I'll get into that in a bit, but we do everything from charity events to weddings, to day parties, to open mics, to salsa events, R&B events, to pop-up events, food vendor events, merch, events, like the list goes on and on and on, right? So I'm gonna jump into a little bit about the beer, and then that will lead me into kind of the culture, community events, and then we'll walk to the backyard. 4 main ingredients in beer: malt, grain, interchangeably, what have you, water, hops, and yeast. Any beer you ever have, 4 main ingredients. Anything else, when you get the flavors and all that, those are called adjuncts. So those are things that are added to the beer at some point. It could be in the boil, it could be in the kettle, it could be over in the fermenters. You could dry hop. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to create different flavors for beer. We source our grain and malt from all over the world. We get these bags, and behind that door, there's a big cone-shaped machine that kind of cracks each grain. Why does it crack the grain? Because the complex sugars need to be broken down into simpler forms of sugar. So it cracks the grain, it shoots up through this white hose you see there, and ends up in this cage. This cage is called the grist cage, G-R-I-S-T. So if I'm brewing tomorrow, I could load all my grain into the grist cage tonight, and then come in, I start my brew, and now everything that's in there that has the cracked grains, think of it of just like you want to start kind of that process, will drop into this tank right here. This tank is called the mash tun lauter. So everything goes in there, it gets sparged with very, very hot water. If you're making a darker beer, it's a darker grain. If you're making a lighter beer, it's a lighter grain, right? Like coffee, right? Darker roast, lighter roast, what have you. Goes in there, gets sparged with very hot water to start that breakdown of complex sugars to simple sugars. From there, it gets shot over to that tank over there. That tank over there is called the kettle. The kettle is a boil. And why the kettle is important is that's where bittering happens. So hops are introduced there. Hops, the most natural form of a hop, it looks like that cone-shaped flower, if you will, up there, that green cone-shaped flower. We use hop pellets. They're not fake hops, they're not artificial hops. It's the compressed form of a hop. From there, it goes into a tank that's behind these two, right in the middle, and that is called the whirlpool. All of the liquid is moving around, the grain is dropping to the bottom, and you retain the liquid that's in there. The process in the brew house is about a 6 to 8 hour process. We're living in the time of COVID, but before COVID, sanitary measures and protocols and guidelines are key, because then you have cross-contamination, or you have beer's food, right? So all of these tanks get cleaned. It's called CIP. You clean the tank, you make sure it's ready for the next brew. So that's the process here. Brew house. So now transitioning over to the backyard, to me, it's where the magic happens. This is where we've created many cool memories. The show You has been filmed back there. We've had weddings back there. We've had day parties back there. We've had Funk Flex back there. We've had Large Pro. We've had Crazy Legs from Rocksteady Crew throw his 40th anniversary. We've had charity galas. We've done sneaker drives. We've done food vendor events. We've done it all, right? COVID put a dampen on that, but the vibes are loading, and we're coming back August 8th with more energy. But follow me to the backyard, and I'll conclude the tour there. This is, to me, one of the most special places in the Bronx, our backyard, as we coin it. I just want to talk a little bit about the art that kind of alludes and exemplifies the values that I shared earlier. So the art behind me is done by Andre Trenier, who is a big Bronx artist. He's done stuff for the Yankees. This is our first art piece in our backyard. This is the Bronx, right? Train, DJs, City Island, you name it. This mural is the Bronx. After we got that mural done, this was the next mural to get done here, which is called the backyard mural. And that was done by a local artist known as Natalie Lucre. And it was just, we wanted to, again, bring the idea that beer brings people together. And so it's two people cheersing, green, blue hands, right? Just the diversity, like doesn't matter the skin tone, and then really building equity in the word the backyard. After we got that done, the next mural we got done on the truss over there, which is a tribute to the essential workers that kept our city going during the peak of the pandemic. And it's tied back to a poem that a girl named Maji wrote from the Bronx. And so there it says, rare roses grow from the concrete. It's kind of that idea that, you know, you're from the concrete jungle, but beautiful things come of it. And the artist that did that is a big graffiti artist. His name is Trap. So he's like big name in the Bronx. And then the last mural was done by, you know, Francis, Joe, and Jose, who's their third partner, by the guys over at Perico. And this is their Bronx smiley, smile, my guy. And this has definitely illuminated the space and has, you know, created something where when people come, they like take pictures of it. But it's also important to kind of add that happiness and that brightness to the space. My vision is to have all these walls and tables eventually painted, tagged. And as I joke, like, I don't know if any of you been to Wynwood in Miami, but having our own little like Bronx collective of artists that are able to come here and use this as a community stage and a community platform to amplify the voices of things that, you know, we each believe in. So with that being said, thanks for your time. Hope it was informative. Sorry it was a little long. And hope to see you guys back here. I'm Brandon. You'll see me here often. And welcome to the Bronx Brewery. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, guys.
We are in our brand new food truck here at the Bronx Brewery.
Okay, congrats to you.
Last Wednesday. Yeah, thank you, brother. We're blessed today.
Yeah, first time.
So we got some tilapia cooking. We're gonna mix that with some white rice. We're gonna toss in some scallions and some cilantro. We're gonna make a coconut sauce with a little coconut milk, coconut cream, and a soy.
Okay.
We're then gonna saute some garlic and ginger. Add that to the sauce. Take all the ingredients out. Mix it with some fresh white rice that we just whipped up. And then finishing touch is gonna be some fresh mango. And then we're gonna take the residual sauce that we have left over from the coconut cream, add that in to make it nice and moist and sweet. And then we're gonna show you a little twist on our shrimp coconut mango empanada, which is what we'll be launching with next Friday.
That sounds crazy. So how is it working here, man? Like how has it been? I know you've been here for like a year already, and then you finally expanded your kitchen.
A little bit less than a year. So we got here in November once we closed down the restaurant in Mount Haven. And it was supposed to be like a 2-month trial run. We did well. And then in about April, we landed a deal with the Bronx Brewery that landed us this brand new food truck. And we're going to be here for a couple of years. So this is like our first time having a long-term situation with a real food truck with all the right equipment and pieces. So I'm super excited, man. It's like throughout the pandemic and all, you know, God still found a way to bless me and my family and my company. So I'm just here trying to make the best of it.
So how did this whole Empanalogy start off?
Well, I'm Puerto Rican, grew up in the Bronx, right? From a low-income household. And, you know, I'm sure just like you, there's certain dishes that, you know, mom do for grandma will whip up every, you know, weekend, Friday and Monday. Empanadas was our Monday and Friday meal growing up. So my mom became kind of like famous for her empanadas.
Ooh, look at that sear.
Ironically enough, we ate a lot of chopped cheese empanadas.
Oh, right.
And once I got intrigued or enough courage to start making my own, I started flooding it with more cheese than possible. And then from there, I started making like breakfast empanadas, and this is like teenage years in high school. So my boys would come over, I would always feed them. Fast forward to, you know, my first job, I was a dishwasher in the Whole Foods. Fell in love with the kitchen there. About 5 years later, I decided to launch my own company. It was a catering company, but we kind of focused on empanadas. Spent some time doing craft services, and then eventually in 2018, we launched Empanalogy, what is known as today, specializing in empanadas. Right now, we got about 57 different flavors.
Okay.
Not always available because we switch with the seasons, but It's been fun, man. I'm learning a lot, and like I said, guys are finding a way to bless me and my family through doing what I love to do, and that's serving up empanadas and making people feel good through our food.
And then what else you got cooking up for them too?
So we're gonna also do a vegetarian one, you know, inspired by one of the episodes on your show.
Okay.
That'll be some fresh local plum tomatoes or vine tomatoes, some smoked mozzarella, and some fresh basil. And when we serve that at the restaurant, we add a little basil pesto as a dipping sauce, or basil pesto aioli. Okay. So right now I'm just chopping up my garlic, my ginger. I'm gonna start the coconut sauce.
So ironically, this one too. This is what we had at ajo y oregano with Mighty and JJ Grant and Quay. So it was pretty it's a pretty coincidence that you had this dish here on the meal, because that's what she had too. She had like the tilapia with the coconut sauce and the rice.
Yeah. So normally we do it with shrimp.
Okay.
But I think there were some people that was allergic today, so we switched it to the tilapia. So it's right in line with that meal that she had at Ajo.
Shout out to the people not allergic to nothing though, man.
Hey, shout out to Ajo, man.
Shout out to Ajo. Yeah, shout out to Ajo. They really.
My man Enver, he's killing me with that. Big inspiration for me.
They really
Their
killing
food is amazing.
Yeah, man. I was in Ajo, man. I felt like I was in DR, man.
But it's back home, right?
Bronx. It was so anywhere in the Caribbean too. It felt like.
And that's the beauty. Like you could taste it in their food. Like Abuela's back there chefing it up.
Exactly. I'm like, bro, like that's what I thought. I actually went to the back, like, yo.
Like a
is my grandma
home.
back here? Like, who is it?
We try to accomplish
Who
that
is
here,
it?
man. We, you know, with our simpler dishes, we try to make it taste like a meal back home in the island in PR.
So what we did was we went to Uptown Vegan with Club Bum and Mill, and we had this Jamaican style rice and peas with chickpeas and collard greens. So what I did was made a chickpea veloute with some curry, some allspice, some cloves, you know, regular like Jamaican style, some peppers, some Jamaican hot peppers in there, and I dehydrated some collard greens, and I put them on top to give it like a nice flavor. You see the green in there. And then now what we have here is fried rice and pea balls, like some arancini. Arancini is actually like a Bronx favorite too, you know what I mean? Like it was, of course it was made in Italy, but most of the people that migrated from Italy to the Bronx, started whipping them up here and started selling them like 25 a pop. 25 cents a pop, not $25 a pop. So you imagine, but yeah, that's why you go to Little Italy, you'll go to like the fair and you'll see all the arancinis and stuff like that. Right now, this is a veganaise, we could call it, with so Mill she took us to a juice bar, and her favorite juice was a beet, ginger, apple, and carrot juice. So I put that all in here, mixed it up with some soy, and some smoked paprika to give it like some nice umami smokiness, and I put that all into a vegan mayonnaise. So this whole dish is completely vegan. Oh. And then the flowers are inspired by Club Bum's sneakers.
Beautiful.
So that's it. That's us right there. Yeah, clap it up for B&J, man. Let's go. Yeah, we here. All right.
Oh my God, let's go. Yo, is it like a drop and you start eating, or we gotta wait?
Nah, you gotta wait.
This is beautiful.
It only came out one of the kitchens, actually.
Thank you for that. So we went to Uptown Vegan with my man Club Bum and the Mill. He put me on to these crazy ass rice and peas with this curry chickpea, and with the Mill we went to a juice spot where she had this beet juice with apple, orange, and ginger. So I deconstructed all of that. I put it all into this one plate right here. At the bottom you had a chickpea veloute. So I cooked it Jamaican style with some fenugreek, allspice, curry seasoning, so some tahini, olive oil, and all that other stuff I put in. And then also we collabed on this rice ball to make it an arancini, because that's like when the Romans came to the Bronx, not the conquering Romans, like the Romans, the nice ones, when they immigrated to the Bronx, they brought the arancinis with them and started selling them for like 5 cents a pop. So that's kind of like a Bronx thing right here. And on top of that is that beet juice that we had, but I turned it into a vegan mayonnaise.
Nice.
So it's beet juice. It's beet juice, carrots, and apples. Yeah, let's just enjoy this. I think I'm talking too much. Yeah. A fork?
You know, fork.
You don't need no
It's a
fork.
handheld food right here.
But yeah, come on. So how do you guys feel about this? Yo, how do you feel about this, Justin? So there's a whole model in the rice balls.
Oh my God, this shit is
So-
so savory.
Okay.
My goodness.
Does this give you Grubstalgia? Does this remind you of?
Yeah, actually it tastes like curd chickpeas on the bottom. Give me that real reminiscent of Uptown Juice Bar that we went to not too long ago. Oh my God, but the whole sensation behind this,
Another level.
beautiful.
It's
Bro.
perfect.
Woo! Yo, as long as you just, you see, that's the Grubstalgia feeling right there. Do that again. Woo! Woo! That's the Grubstalgia yelling right there.
Play?
Chef, what you think about this?
It's perfect, man. It's a nice twist. You get the Jamaican flavors on the bottom. You get something different with this veganaise with the beets and apple. You get the crunchiness texture from the arancini crust. And then what's better, nothing better than some Jamaican rice and peas, right? Tie it all together.
All right.
Beautiful, man. Great job.
Yeah, thank you, Chef. So, Chef Jay, take us away.
All right. So today we did 2 empanadas inspired by a couple of your episodes, right? On the left-hand side here we have...
This was the Mighty episode and JJ Grant episode. So both of those are in Empanada.
Yeah, so I believe y'all went to Ajo and Oregano, right?
Yep.
Shout out to them,
Alright.
Enver, dope spot, big inspirations from them. So today we took that meal and we gave it a little spin. So inspired by that and inspired by one of our summer shrimp empanadas that we're launching with next week. Except today we didn't use shrimp, we used pan-seared tilapia. So inside we have white rice, pan-seared tilapia, some cilantro, some scallions, and a coconut cream sauce, topped off with some fresh mangoes, and then that's on top of a sweet Thai chili sauce, and that's on the left hand side. Then on the right hand side we got a classic caprese salad inside the empanada, except we did a tiny little spin and we used smoked mozzarella instead of smoked fresh mozzarella instead of regular fresh mozzarella. So you got some locally cut vine tomatoes in there, some chef not basil, which is just a fancy word for the way we cut the basil, nothing crazy. Some basil and some good old S&P inside our handmade dough. So enjoy, guys. Cheers.
Yeah. So, Mighty, try yours first. And tell us about your...
Part
Yo,
done.
get out, bye.
You know what it tastes like? It tastes like a 5-star Lunchable.
A 5-star Lunchable with empanada.
It's like summertime in a bite. You get
Yeah,
the tomatoes,
for sure.
the basil.
This was what we had for JJ Grant, so shout out to JJ Grant, wherever you are, we love you. Thank you for putting us on to Lombardo's. She couldn't make it today, but we already found out your experience from eating this, so this is super dope. And then Mighty, walk us through, oh, I caught you on a bite. Well,
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, I could eat this all day.
does this remind you of Ajo and Oregano? Does this give you Grubstalgia? Yeah, clap it up, everybody. Alright, yeah, so this is the last course.
Oh, let's go.
So everybody's wondering who this guy is. This is my guy. He's our special guest today. The Bronxer. He just pulled up out of nowhere, and I was like, "Yo, bro, just pull up in the show." So this is for Justin. Let's go. You.
Oh, thank you.
Got one right here.
This is fire.
Oh, it smells so good too. Oh my goodness.
I needed this.
Oh my God, you missed the last two. I ain't gonna lie, you came here a little early.
Very swell.
Let's walk around back and forth. So
Yeah.
First we went to Casa del Mar with Ivanka Santiago, who's not here again. She's working with these lovely kids, so she's doing her thing. Shout out to her. We had this crazy ass paella, probably the best paella I've had in New York at Casa del Mar. It had a whole bunch of shellfish, but due to restrictions in shellfish, I didn't add any shellfish into this paella. I just kind of mimicked the flavor of it with some annatto, turmeric, and some some sea seasoning, so a little bit of Old Bay, something that reminds me of the sea. And then we went to Guatamico family restaurant with these guys right here, Federico Limited, and we had a whole bunch of steak in a taco and in a tortilla. So what I did was I put that all into a burrito. I put the steak, and then also I forgot to mention that Ivanka had these clams with bacon. I've added some bacon into this, as you can see right there. Some bacon, and then for the jalapeno, I know people don't like spicy food, so what I did was put some pepper jack cheese, some bacon, steak, paella, pepper jack cheese, and some peppers and onions. And then also for the vegans, I made a cauliflower and nutritional yeast burrito. So it's seasonal purple cauliflower in there, some nutritional yeast, and some cilantro. That's it. That's mine. I can't tell you that because that's mine right there. I tell you. Can't tell you what else is in there. So if you guys are wondering what's in this green sauce, chef, get up real quick. Let's tell them. This is avocado with
Some well-earned from the Bronx Brewery, only right.
yeah,
Like a little vegan avocado crema. We use coconut cream, and coconut milk. Little S&P and some well-earned. Falsified it with some garlic oil.
This is a well-earned avocado sauce.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Bronx, introduce yourself to the table.
So basically, I do social media analytics, graphic design, cinematography, videography, and illustration, and pretty much like flyer, magazine layout, pretty much for the Bronx. I mean, my clientele kind of first started near Manhattan, but now I went back to my own hometown neighborhood that I grew up and still live in, which is the Bronx, and I decided to kind of like uplift the community in a very visual way.
Okay.
And I feel like everybody deserves like a step in life with quality. A lot of people have great ideas but really bad execution, and I feel like if I'm there to help them at a very manageable cost and a very like normal, like not a head crack $1,000 invoice thing, I think people could all, flourish and become the best business people they want to be.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
That's a blessing.
Well, thank you for popping up here, because I did DM you, but it looked like Instagram didn't want this to happen, but it happened to Instagram, so shout out to that. Let's enjoy this, guys.
Yo, can I tell?
All this shit is hitting,
It's hitting. How's the sauce, y'all?
Yo, the sauce.
The sauce is immaculate.
I'm not even an avocado guy, and this is right.
Immaculate.
Definitely taste it, yeah.
Federico, does this give you nostalgia?
Yes. For sure.
He said, yes, leave me alone, let me eat.
I got dumped up.
For real. Wait, hold on. My man, you designed this can, right?
Oh, you designed that can?
Can.
Yo, hold on. What?
The full edge of it.
What? What? You did this?
I try.
Bro, this is fire, bro.
Yo, thank you.
Oh, that's you right here? That's you right there? Hold
My
on.
man has his own beer.
What? How did that
Well,
inspiration come about?
about a year and some change ago, I started with the I just made like a cool like moving media piece, like animation for the Bronx Brewery when they came out with their No Resolutions beer. They're like, oh snap, you're dope. And I'm like, alright, I know. And then we kept on like kind of working together on a very like collaborative level. And after that, they figured out that I draw because I posted up a whole bunch of series of like my robots, and then we started creating things. The first one was a Das Bronx beer, and it was the first version of this. It was different characters. One of my robots had hoop earrings. It was like a whole like Bronx connected thing with Europe meets Bronx, right?
That's what I love about BXP, man. They come out here and they help expose all these artists in the Bronx, and they keep the Bronx based.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure a lot of other brands won't come up and just be like, hey, you want to draw in our can? Like, or they'll be really afraid of their branding being like misconstrued or diluted.
And it makes sense because the series of these beers are called Up and Coming. So They give opportunity to up and coming artists like ourselves to showcase our talent.
It just makes sense, and it also feels like you're part of it. It's not like you're just like, hey, make this beer, and then they leave you like for dead somewhere in the desert. Like this is like you get to grow with the beer, you get to see people talk about the beer.
There's other people that like they start stuff in creative areas, like let's say Williamsburg. There's a lot of creative people that was in Williamsburg before it's the Williamsburg that's today. So not much breweries that are in Williamsburg today use that as a platform. Like they'll use it, they'll get somebody from like Ohio to come in,
or somebody overseas
to design something on their beer, and it's not homegrown. You know what I mean? That's why I respect the Bronx and I respect the Bronx Brewery. And the Bronx has like this pride. The energy that the Bronx has and that every Bronxer has or Bronxites has is unmatchable. You know what I mean? Like.
So Frank, your approach, I think one thing that's become really clear to me too, right, was that like it's that kind of like the idea of achieving some sort of greatness from stuff you wouldn't necessarily expect it from, like that kind of approachable greatness. So, you know, for you, how important is it to be able to kind of create that thing that like isn't going to drive anybody away, but also like isn't going to pander? You know, like it might take people who haven't been exposed to something to like a different plane.
It's extremely important to me because I see this as artistry. Yeah. So the fact that and not a lot of people do. So one thing that I want to do is like show this that this is an actual art, and it's probably one of the most important forms of art because it's in touch with the inside of your body, and your body has to accept it. It can't visually accept it; it has to internally accept it. So that's probably one of the most like raw forms of art. You know what I mean? It's cooking because your body automatically rejects it. So it's super important to me that I do that, and then also show my culture, show both sides of my culture. Like coming from Harlem, infusing Harlem with Dominican and Caribbean food, you know what I mean? And just putting that together into like one dish, that's where all of this comes inspired. And another thing that's super important is just communication. That's why I started Grubstalgia, so I wanted everyone, you know, like individuals and entrepreneurs, creatives to come together and like sit at a table, community table like this, eat and communicate about the future and stuff like that. Because what else brings people together than food? This is episode 4. Shout out to Bronx Brewery for hosting us in their fabulous backyard. This is
Grubstalgia.